and Varsity College at this point in the unwanted 5th spot in the centre of the course.
Yeah, but not a lot to pick between Varsity College in lane number 5 and then across to St Patrick's College, Farrington and Grant. As you can just see there, they're just starting to get their bow ball up level with the 2 rowers there from St Patrick's College. So it'll be an interesting one as they're going through the 500 metres just to see what that gap is. So it was about 2.5 seconds between 4th and 5th as they went through the 1,000 metre timing point, and I reckon they may just have got that a little bit closer. We can see there lane 7, Tobias Elias and William Robertson from Northern Beaches Secondary College with the lead, and a comfortable one at that. Cranbrook's Christopher Vlahos and Luke Martin sitting in second, Unley High in third. St Patrick's College with it just over a boat length, so about the same gap between St Patrick's College and Varsity College through that third 500 metres, so we'll keep an eye out and see how they go there. The Cranbrook School did very well. They're regular visitors down to the ACT for the ACT Junior Championships and also the ACT Head of the Lake, where they were the schoolboy point score champions for the ACT Head of the Lake.
Worthwhile trip in that case.
It's a very worthwhile trip. It's a fantastic. I know that sometimes I don't give Canberra the best of raps, which is odd for a person that's been down there 4 times for the last and been living there for the last 5 years. But certainly, particularly in February, March, you know, you get some nice flat water. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had the Canberra Balloon Festival, so you're out for your training paddle, Parliament House and the War Memorial around you, and then about 50 hot air balloons all around. And when the sun comes up and you've got all these hot air balloons going around, you can't help but row better because number one, everyone's taking photos of you from yes. right up above. But and even during winter, again, it can be absolutely freezing cold. But the water is absolutely still, and you're out there by yourself. It is.
Come to Canberra to be alone. I can see it now. Yeah. We've got balloons. No, it's a work in progress.
We've got a lake. We've got a lake and the Raiders.
Exactly right.
In the words of the Sydney Green Brigade back in the day, it is going to be a win for Northern Beaches Secondary College. Tobias Elias and William Robertson taking the win, and a very strong one at that. In the schoolboy double sculls, second place going to Christopher Vlahos and Luke Martin. Coming through in third, it will be the crew from St Patrick's College. That is Oscar Farrington and Harrison Grant, finishing just ahead of Unley High, Nate Lessue and Thomas Osborne, with Varsity College's Ryan Hirschler and Joshua Pickering Pentland in fifth. So they go through to the repechage, but they did close it down through that last 500 metres, down to just under 2 seconds. So the winning time there for Northern Beaches, 7 minutes 5. And that was pretty much bang on.
Identical to the previous heat, but about 15 seconds slower than heat 1. So Scott Oakman's Ollie Dowley and Cameron Parker can sleep well tonight in the knowledge that they are substantially the fastest qualifier for the semis of this new event, the schoolboys double scull. But from the double sculls, we go back to the Cox State. So some of the fastest boats around about to come down the course now. This is the under 17 schoolgirls at Cox State, and we have a couple of big heats here, about to line up 3 in fact in total, and the first is at the 2,000 metre start. Kinross Walleroy are in lane 1, PLC Perth in lane 2, Loretto Kirribilli in 3, Roseville College from Sydney in lane 4, Seymour College from South Australia in 5, and Pymble Ladies College of Sydney have a great history, of course, at the national championships over the past decade or so. They have crews in both lanes 6 and 7.
The reminder to all spectators, the boat road will be closed tomorrow. There will be no pedestrian traffic on either road on the Vanstone side. And those old barriers are exactly that. They're barriers to stay behind.
Should also repeat the announcement made at the course earlier today for those who might be intending to come down here, that the course is not open for so there'll be no training on the course today. For the information of those at the course and possibly those watching on the live stream planning on training later, do not come here because the course will be closed for training and closed in fact once.
Richard, for that big boat energy coming down the course, we've got the 8-8s coming down the course, and it is absolutely fantastic to view from the drone footage that we've got on the screen. You can see there on the right hand of the screen, Kinross Walleroy in the under-17 schoolgirls Cox States. First four go through to the semi-final, with the other four going through to the repechage. The Kinross crew on the right-hand side with the lead. That's Rani Yarrick, Isabel Grout, Molly Mason, Mari Wiley, Grace Tancred, Ruby Lego, Maddie. You can see them. They've already pulled out to or so. And we'll just see them now coming up towards that 500-metre timing point. It looks to be lane 5, Seymour College from South Australia, sitting in second place, just ahead of Loretto Kirribilli, Roseville, Pymble Ladies, PLC Perth, and then the second Pymble Ladies crew. As we just see them on the screen there, so Seymour College, Harriet Foster, Ava Charlesworth, Adelaide Salu, Lucy Bell, Charlotte Guthrie, Matilda Brasher, Imogen Johnson, Lucy Pocock, Holly Gwynn is the coxswain, and they're coached by Georgia Roylett.
It's the under-17 schoolgirls 8, so the year 12 athletes in this boat, but probably particularly largely year 10 crews, in fact, racing here in the under-17 event, so often in very new to the 8s. I can see certainly some of the crews coming through in the later heats have actually been racing, I know in the case of the Ballarat schools, largely in 4s and quads in the season, now racing here in the 8s as well. So there could be some interesting combinations to come down the course in this race. But what a start it's been to Kinross Walleroy, and that is clearly their standard racing form is at the Kinross crews. They get out hard in front and usually stay there for the entirety of the race.
Well, one of my favourite races that I can remember from an Australian Rowing Championships was the final back in Barrington for the under-17. I can't remember the schoolboys, schoolgirls. Radford College, coached by Vicky Spencer, going absolutely hard out early on the final day of racing and holding on to that one. That was from lane 1. They'd just qualified for the final.
They did, in fact. If I recall correctly that morning, they won about 3 events and all doing it exactly the same way as this. A good lead early on and let the other crews chase them and catch them. They never did. They got close in a couple of occasions, but Radford did the job and collected several medals that morning.
Well, they also had the schoolboy schoolgirl point score that year. I think they were joint in the schoolboy, won the schoolgirl outright, and it's the first time any school has won both of the one national championships. Yep, but it is Kinross with that lead, and it's a comfortable lead, a couple of boat lengths then clear of Seymour College in second place. We've got the Loretto Kirribilli crew in third, then Pymble Ladies over in lane number 7, Roseville sitting in 5th place, and then back to PLC Perth and the second Roseville crew. So the Loretto Kirribilli crew is Maddie Dunstan, Elizabeth Roberts, Amelia Charlson, Millie Fallon, Maddie Wheelahan, Mabel Oxenham, Gemma Ronan, Sarah Holt, and Lulu Warren is the coxswain there. The Pymble Ladies crew in lane number 7 that's sitting in 4th place is Harriet Murphy, Arabella Murphy, Allegra Tabenschlag, Zara Kinneberg, Caitlin Vilney, and William Foxton. And you can see there that's Peloton going alongside them over there on the far side of the course. If you are bringing your bike down, for the coaches that may be yet to come down, are being checked to make sure that people are being safe on the bikes. The Roseville crew in lane number 4, they're sitting in 5th place at the moment, and that is Annie Smith, Annabelle Eburn, Claudia Berger, Eva Zhang, Piper Robertson. Matilda Marchant is the coxswain, and they're coached by Gonzalo Briones.
About to come through 1500, but our leaders are from Kinross Walleroy. Remain very comfortably clear here. A couple of lengths more than that, in fact, it will be, as they come through in a time just under 5 minutes and 7 seconds, and that's a substantial lead, over 10 seconds, in fact, to Seymour College of South Australia in second place. Tight between Loretto Kirribilli and then Pymble Ladies, the 2 Sydney crews fighting out 3rd and 4th. Roseville back into 5th place. And then still one more crew from Pymble Ladies, as well as PLC destined to have to qualify via the repechage, which will take place tomorrow in the under-17 schoolgirls Cox States semi-finals on Saturday's program, but the repechage to come tomorrow for the 5th, 6th and 7th place crews in this race. But what a performance from Kinross Walleroy.
Yeah, they are absolutely blitzing it at the moment. You can hear the Kinross spectators absolutely cheering them on as they go through the last 250 metres. That PLC Perth crew of Stella Phillips, Genevieve Noplach, Sophia McIntosh, Ruby Marinko, Sophia Wen, Isabella Hender, Selma Argyle, Claudia Penny, Josie Ferraris. As the coxswain coached by Eloise Rosser and David Milne. And then the second Pimble crew, Mia Sherry, Lucy Simpson, Sarah Khan, Georgina Curtis, Genevieve Bazina, Olivia Norton, Amber Isaac by Alex. Isn't there?
Out again, we mentioned this earlier, they do make plenty of noise.
They've got plenty to
As
make
well
noise
they should.
about.
Yep.
It is Kinross Walleroy with the win in heat number 1 of the under-17 Schoolgirls Cox States. They'll go straight through to the semi-final, and oh my word, they are going to be hard to beat in any race. 6 minutes 50.77 for Kinross. Coming through in second will be Seymour College. Nice little second place for them. The third place crew will be the Pimble Ladies crew in lane number 7. So that's stroked by Leander McLaughlin, with the fourth place crew being from Loretto Kirribilli in fourth. Coming through in fifth place will be the Roseville College crew in lane number 4. And then we've got a big finish coming here from the second Pimble Ladies crew. They've been led by PLC Perth throughout, and now they've rode through them and they've got just ahead. So Pimble Ladies in lane number 6 finishing appropriately enough in 6th place, and then PLC Perth 11 seconds, that
That's
margin.
right, yeah. It was a good time and a big margin, so you'd imagine they can go faster still, Kinross Walleroy. They'll have a centre lane in a semi-final coming up tomorrow, coming up on Saturday, I should say, as they're underway in Heat 2 of the Under-17 Schoolgirls Cox State. A field of 7 here once again. Melbourne Girls Grammar School, they're racing in lane 1 under the watchful eye of the peloton there on the far side of the course. Scotch Oakman of Launceston in 2, Scotch College Adelaide in lane 3. Loretto Ballarat back a little there in the centre of the course. Grammar School, Ballarat Grammar School through the halfway mark now, and they do lead Ballarat Grammar narrowly from Melbourne Girls Grammar on the other side of the course. So 2 Victorian crews, first and second on opposite sides of the course here. Ballarat Grammar School from Melbourne Girls Grammar, Scotch Oakburn in 3rd, Canberra Girls Grammar School back in lane 6 in 4th place. And the other school to watch out for will be Scotch Adelaide racing in lane 3.
Yeah, and it's a nice little battle there for that 4th and final semi-final qualification position. Ballarat Grammar, the crew of Cleo Tyndall, Lara Golan, Bess Morrison, Kate Johnson, Alice Booth, Lily Geddes, Briley Walker, Olivia Beachley and Alexis Timms is the coxswain, and they're just starting to move ahead now. Melbourne Girls Grammar, Zaina Abid, Caitlin Anthony, Addie Dean, Stephanie Speller, Gabrielle Sofra, Imogen Perrott, Grace Perrott, Jemima Ross and Camilla Rowe as the coxswain. Lane 2 from Scotch Oakburn, Isabella Skirbing, Georgia Veerhouse, Emily Nags, Emily Atherton, Madison Marshall, Isabella Wilson, Chaley Barron, Saffron Dick and Lily Clark is the coxswain, coached by Robert McDonald and Jamie Bredden.
I'm contractually obliged to mention the coaches too of the Ballarat Grammar School crew, Stuart Money, because they're staying with us. Very close to us at Panthers. So Robert Draffin and Marty Francis, the director of rowing at Ballarat Grammar School, doing a great job with a large group of girls and boys they brought to this regatta from Ballarat Grammar School.
And the crew sitting in, well, it's a battle now between 3rd and 4th. The Canberra Girls Grammar crew, Alice Hinksman, Lucy Kadaris, Meg Story, Charlotte Bowen, Mia Willie, Elkie Spiller, Grace Did. Like they're just starting to move ahead towards 3rd place.
Still Ballarat Grammar School just there. It's hardly changed over the last 500 metres. So Ballarat Grammar School lead Melbourne Girls Grammar by a length and a half. Scotch Oakman still sit 3rd. Seconds back, it's 0.37 seconds back to Scotch Adelaide in lane 3. But one spot at least and secure themselves tomorrow's racing off and set straight for the semi-finals of the Under-17 Schoolgirls 8. Then it was the other 2 crews, Walford Anglican lane 5 and the Loretto Ballarat lane 4, a little bit back in the field.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting finish here. Can Scotch Adelaide get through? Saffron Miller, Clementine Lonay, Ava Belcher Lynch, Evie Sangster, Harriet Twelvetree, Stella Spolvens, is coached by Lucy Kittel and Andre Pistonik. And
that's not the Kinross crowd. That's the yellow crowd from Ballarat Grammar School. I can see there in the front row of the grandstand. Distinctive once again as they cheer their crew on.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few Canberra Girls Grammar
I'm
Crew
sure there
ones in
are.
there
I'm
because
sure there
they
are.
can make some noise as well. So here we go. We've got 5 crews, 4 spaces in the semi-final. Who's going to be able to go through and take the semi-final spot and skip out on the repechage? Scotch College Adelaide looking like they're just starting to move through. On either end, we've got Melbourne Girls Grammar, lane 1, Ballarat Grammar in lane number 7. They're both going for the win. Scotch Oakburn from Tasmania, lane 2, Scotch College Adelaide, and then Canberra Girls Grammar for that It's Ballarat Grammar. They're going to go through and take the heat win. Melbourne Girls Grammar in second place. And now for 3rd, 4th and 5th, it's going to be lanes 2, 3 and 6. So Scotch Oakburn finishing just ahead of Scotch College Adelaide in 4th place. Canberra Girls Grammar will unfortunately have to go through the repechage. You can see they put everything into that. We've then back to the Walford Anglican crew in lane number 5 and Loretto College Ballarat in lane number 4, making up our field. A winning time there of 6 minutes 56.49. And what a finish for the qualification spot.
What a finish indeed, yes. Ballarat Grammar School just holding on. Melbourne Girls Grammar second. It was just Scotch Oakburn from Scotch Adelaide. They'll be the top 4. Canberra Girls Grammar School somehow missed out in that tight finish, but there was very little between really any of those placings. Then Walford and Loretto Ballarat, 6.56 again, the time there. So marginally slower than the first heat, but they won't be concerned about that. That was a great race and a win to Ballarat Grammar School as Heat 3 is underway. The last 6 crews in the under-17 schoolgirls Cox State, and they're well on their way down the course through 1,500 metres now. In fact, through the 1,000-metre mark, they've already come, these crews, into the third 500. So it's PLC Perth in lane 2, St Catherine's of Melbourne in lane 3, MLCQ in 4, Loretto Toorak in 5, St Catherine's of Sydney in lane 6, and Queenwood on lane 7. But the race lead there looks like it's with the MLCQ combination from Melbourne. Bella Bain, Emma Ward, Amaya Crawshay, Joss Kerr, Emily T and Chloe Blake, Zoe Jackal, Matea Brown and Freya Kuznandar there for MLC, coached by Matt Wilson, a coach who had great success at the Wrighton Girls School over many years, but now working at MLCQ, where he's coaching this particular Year 10-8, who are well placed by a length or so ahead of the St Catherine's Sydney School in lane 6. That is the combination of Genevieve Links, Eva Hunstead, Holly Corcoran, Towley Morgan, Imogen Badasaray, Matisse Borthwick, Freya Gaston, Florence Hennessy, Indy Warnock, the Cox, Jeff Patterson and Sophie Castellas, the coach there. And PLC Perth on the other side of the course would be 3rd, just ahead of Loretto Toorak. And then the other St Catherine's Melbourne in lane 3.
Yeah, so the race splitting out. Our qualifiers looking a little bit more settled here for the first 4. That PLC Perth crew: Bridie Swingler, Arabella Dunn, Sana Burt, Amelia Corbett, Celia Rossa, Fenella Cox, Ruby Davis, Tara Swingler and Laura Gillam is the coxswain, coached by Rebecca Dunstan and David Milne. And then we've got the crew in 4th place, Loretto Toorak. We have Minty Clements, Zara Bear, Zara Brakovic, Luca McComas, Grace Kennedy, Olivia Fay, Lucy Woods, Isla Quick and Josie Grave as the coxswain, coached by Amelia Garley.
One of the last 250 metres now of this race. The lead still sits with the MLC combination from Q. Loretto Toorak moving fairly quickly through in the middle of the course as well, certainly comfortably in the top 4, along with St Catherine's of Sydney and PLC of Perth ahead of St Catherine's of Melbourne. How often does St Catherine's, Sydney and Melbourne end up in the same race? I recall an epic semi-final last year at Perth in the Schoolgirls Open 8 between those 2 crews that needed a photo finish to separate. But it won't be the case here. St Catherine's Sydney sit comfortably in the top 3. St Catherine's Melbourne will have to go through the repechage, I think, ahead then of Queenwood will be in 6th place. But MLCQ lane 4 into the red boys now, the final section of the course. Loretto Toorak certainly moving quickly up alongside St Catherine's City, looking to place the pinch second place and make it Victorian Quinella here. But MLCQ certainly comfortably clear now with only a couple of strokes to go. They have Clearwater back on the field, so MLCQ Lane 4 will take the win in the third heat of the under. Laredo Turak get that blue bow just across the line in second place. Third then St Catharines of Sydney Lane 6 and PLC Perth about a link back in fourth place. So they are the last 4 qualifiers at this stage into the semis of the under-17 schoolgirls. Coxed 8. St Catharines of Melbourne will finish in 5th place, and 6th will go to that distinctive boat, the boat matching the colour of the zoos of the girls in it too. Queenwood Lane 7 will finish in 6th place.
Winning time there of 6 minutes 52.17. So just a little bit slower than heat number 1, where we saw Kinross Walleroy out in front early doors, and a 6.56 for Ballarat Grammar in heat number 2. Moving on now away from the big boats, and we're on to the first heat of the Club Women's Double Scull.
This event has been redrawn too, Stuart, so we've gone from 3 heats to 2, and I think you've got the new paperwork.
University of New South Wales Rowing Club of Samantha Backler and Helen. Lane 2 from Richmond Rowing Club, Helen Pearce and Kate Dybel. In Lane 3 from Corio Bay Rowing Club, Lauren Murphy and Sydney. And Vivienne Noonan, coached by Alex Field and Claire Raven. Lane 5 from Brisbane and GPS, Kate Morris and Marty Evans, coached by Alan and Catherine Borgia. In Lane 6 from Melbourne University, Kana Kukamasa and Emma Campbell. In Lane 7 from ANU, we have Ellie Lambden and Bonnie Andrews, coached by Nigel Harding. And Lane 8 from Commercial Rowing Club, Bethany Harvest and Melina Wilcox, coached by David Vandis. So the first 2 crews. And Kate Dybel. Nice Clearwater lead. Geldard and Vivienne Noonan, and then ANU and Commercial sitting in 3rd and 4th. Not a lot to pick between them, and certainly with 1,000 metres to go, neither of those crews out of the qualification position. Brisbane and GPS then a little bit off the pace, as were the University of New South Wales, Corio Bay and Melbourne University.
This is the first of our club races too at the Nationals for 2024, Stuart, so we should just remind everyone of the criteria for these particular events, which are specifically for rowers of the same club. So no composite crews are allowed. All entrants must be from the same club, and you cannot row in a club event if you represent Australia, I guess it's senior level or possibly under 20.
Nominated for the senior team either.
Right. Yeah.
So
yes, as Ray Abbott points out, there is no rule banning former Ben Homer last year, because Ben's still bitter about that. But so yes, former well, of course didn't happen, so they couldn't have been there anyway. But they are the rules of the club events. It's a recent addition to the program in the past a few years, and they're growing in importance to, I think, these club events as well.
Well, we saw last year, I remember it was an absolute highlight for me and a highlight for ANU, because we had Catherine Kahn from ANU and Taylor Caudle, who was with ANU at the time, winning the club women's double ahead of Kate Morris and Marnie Evans from Brisbane and GPS. It was definitely a Brisbane and GPS crew in 2nd place. It's Richmond Rowing Club out in the lead, Helen Pearce and Kate Dybel. Richmond Rowing Club, I know for Head of the Yarra, we had a Para 8 that came down and they hosted us down there. We're very lovely, Geraldine Goss and the team down there. So they'll be
very hospitable club. Richmond have got, brave to say, but probably pole position there of all the clubs on Boathouse Drive, being closest to the I guess the city end of that. So right at the end with a wonderful new extension in recent years, which is available for weddings, parties, anything up top level of the Richmond club. So
for Father's Day, weddings, partings.
I'm glad someone picked up on that reference. I feel I'm talking to myself sometimes, but you never know. This is a very good double scull too from the Richmond Rowing Club. Helen Pearce and Kate Dybel have rowed together a lot in recent years and been collecting medals at certainly regattas throughout Victoria and at the Australian Masters. We'll have to go check the results of this race, but I know they've been training together a lot in recent years.
Let's keep an eye out on 2nd and 3rd. Geldard and Noonan from Toowong. Just Andrews, an Australian junior representative, back after about 10 years away. Now a vet, working down, and also a very people that rowing seems to attract.
It does. It does. The rest is still very
And it looks
insignificant by comparison.
So it's going to be fascinating. Toowong, Geldard and Noonan looking like they may just be ahead, but we're seeing the rate of striking from ANU just start to up now. Are they able to go straight through to the final? Brisbane and GPS certainly not out of the running either. But out in front, we have the Richmond Rowing Club crew of Helen Pearce and Kate Dybel. They've led right from the start, and they're certainly doing it very comfortably indeed. Plenty of power coming through with every stroke. And with a couple of big strokes left to go, it does look like they are going to go through and take the heat win in the club women's double scull. So a win there for Richmond. Second place, the Toowong crew just holding off the challenge of ANU and also Brisbane and GPS. So it's about a boat length between second and third. So Gabrielle Geldard and Vivian Noonan from Toowong Rowing Club through to the final. Third place to Ellie Lambden and Bonnie Andrews from ANU ahead of Brisbane and GPS's Kate Morris and Marnie Evans. Then in fifth, we had Commercials, Bethany Harvest and Milena Wilcox. In sixth place, the crew from Corio Bay, Lauren Murphy and Sydney Arnold, ahead of the University of New South Wales, Samantha Backler and Helen Frith. And then Melbourne University's Kana Kukumasa and Emma Campbell finishing in eighth. The winning time for Richmond of 7 minutes 28.49 and a winning margin up just over 11 seconds. Moving on to the second heat of the club women's double scull. Again, first and second through to the final, with the rest through to the repechage. Lane 1 from Melbourne University, Yolanda Hooper and Felicity Murray. In lane 2 from Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club, Daisy Walsh and Georgia Miller, coached by Brad Patel and Paul Blanchfield. Lane 3 from Sydney Rowing Club, Gabby Cipher and Madison Joins, coached by Lachlan Carter and Florence Griffiths. In lane 4 from Adelaide Rowing Club, Celia Cowan and Joyce Jollins, coached by Darren Potts and Ron Mobbs. Lane 5 from the West Australian Rowing Club, Elise Moru Barrett and Alessia Sirocco, coached by Stefano Bolosso. In lane 6 from Glebe Rowing Club, Ava Picklum and Stella Lagan, coached by Nicholas Galea. In lane 7 from Sydney University, Ciara Ortolani and Charlotte Harton, coached by Alan Bennett and Alfie Young. And lane 8 from ANU, we have Alexandra Moylan and Sophie Gerapetridis, and they're coached by Nigel Harding. So it's a very stacked field, this one.
It is.
Alexandra Moylan, a former Australian junior lightweight representative. Sophie Gerapetridis, a couple of years ago, was part of a double scull with Anika Reardon in the Open Women's double scull. Managed to row through Eve Muir and Georgia Nesbitt from Hewen in one of the best finishes, I think, that I can remember from that particular regatta. And we can see them now on the screen there. So that is Sophie Gerapetridis and Alex Moylan. A couple of boat lengths lead over the Sydney Rowing Club crew, Gabby Cipher and Madison Joins. I mean, any boat with a Cipher sister in it is going to be
do
fast.
Pretty well, yeah, exactly.
Melbourne University sitting in third place. Adelaide in fourth, so ANU in Sydney, as things stand through the 1500 metres, would go through to the final, but you never know what can happen. Sydney University sitting in fifth place, and then back a little bit further, it looks to be the West Australian Rowing Club crew coming through in sixth. And then we've got a bit of a gap to our last couple of crews.
You're right, Stuart. You mentioned it was the ANU who won this event last year. Not the same combination, of course, as in this race, but looking to defend that title for their club. In second place last year was the Brisbane and GPS combination, who finished fourth in the first heat of Kate Morris and Marnie Evans. And the bronze medal did go to Richmond's Kate Dybel and Helen Pearce. So on that form, they may have improved a spot or two on last year's result in the club women's double scull. We'll find out, of course, semi-finals coming up on Saturday and the finals on Sunday morning of all the club events.
That'll be one to look out for. ANU v Richmond, and then potentially Brisbane and GPS
Absolutely.
again.
It should be, as they come into the final strokes of this second heat. Second of just two heats now with this race redrawn. There were 3 heats scheduled, but now just 2 required, and the Australian National University will certainly take this one out, it would seem, to the delight of my co-commentator, who's put the ANU duty away for the day at least, but it's coming out again tomorrow morning. Actually, in the first race of the day, I think, Stuart, you're back on the water.
First race of the day for the para double scull, and then the para pair as well, so twice going down the course in one day. It's a fair amount for a 40-something.
It is indeed. So the Australian National University will take this one out. Alexandra Moylan and Sophie Gerapetridis. Second will go to Sydney Rowing Club, Gabby Cipher and Madison Joins. They are through to the final directly now, and the rest of the field will go to the repechage. So Melbourne University next, Yolanda Hooper and Felicity Murray, followed by the Adelaide colours there of Celia Cowan and Joyce Jolans. And then Sydney Uni, Ciara Ortolani and Charlotte Harton in 5th place. 6th will go to the West Australian Rowing Club, Elise Moreau-Barrett and Alessia Sirocco. And a couple of crews still to come home. Wendouree Ballarat, Daisy Walsh and Georgia Miller will be 7th, and Glebe Rowing Club, Ava Picklum and Stella Lagan will finish in 8th place. 7:25.29 there. The unofficial winning time, 5.27 seconds the margin, about 3 seconds faster than the first heat won by the Richmond combination of Helen Pearce and Kate Dybel. So it sets up a great final potentially on Sunday morning.
That would be a fantastic final, because that Richmond crew took it. They were leading so comfortably. So that's going to be a spicy final Sunday morning.
Absolutely. The club event's certainly growing in stature in recent years, and the double scull and the eights, of course, too, which are some of the last couple of races before we get to the interstate regatta on Sunday afternoon.
Moving on to race number 341 on your screen at the moment, and that is the first heat of the club men's double scull. First 4 through to the semi-final, with the other 2 through to the repechage. In lane 2 from Swan River Rowing Club, we have Matt McCarthy and Ryan Povey, coached by Neville Kempton and Mark Beer. In lane 3 from the Australian National University, Ishan Shalika and Max Reardon, they're coached by William Hatcher. Lane 4 from the University of New South Wales, we have Harry O'Donnell and Michael Pickford, coached by Cameron Butler. In lane 5 from the West Australian Rowing Club, Thomas Bias and Javier Chadinia, coached by Stefano Beloso. In lane 6 from Sydney Rowing Club, we have Oliver Maroulis and Flynn Wilkinson, coached by Donovan Seck, Shane Mulvaney and Felix Dew. And in lane William Gilbert, and they're coached by Sam Hutchinson and James.
Of 6 here, the 3 heats of the club men's double total, and the top 4 from each heat will progress. Chances there for the leading crews to qualify. Sydney Rowing Club disappeared into the sunlight there, which is leading a path down. Sit in the race lead here, in a good race. River Rowing Club in 2, and the ANU combination there again. Ishan Shalika and Max Reardon. And get a great shot between, that's the 2 crews from the University of Australian Rowing Club in lane 5. Within the distance, our race leaders from the Sydney Rowing Club.
Yeah, it's a fantastic view there. You can see the sun rays going down breaking through the clouds. The weather conditions again have been pretty well spot on. A little bit of wind today. It has made it quite interesting. We've seen a bit of a tailwind through the last couple of hours or so, and certainly some very quick times going through for the women's under-17 schoolgirl 8s. Cracking 7 minutes. I've had a couple of people message through going, that is very fast.
Speedy, yes, and the temperature a few degrees lower than the last couple of days too, so a bit less heat, a bit less humidity too, or at least it feels that way. About only 21, I think, degrees at the moment, so much more comfortable conditions for the athletes out there, which is convenient because this is the longest day of the regatta, as we've still got over an hour's of racing to go through until the end of the day. And again, we do remind all here at the course and listening on the live stream that there is no training on the course this afternoon. The conclusion of racing too close to sunset to allow any safe training to take place. So the course will be closed immediately after the last race, and no training will be permitted this afternoon.
So just having a look there, we've got the Sydney Rowing Club crew of Oliver Maroulis and Flynn Wilkinson, who are leading comfortably through the first 1,000 metres. Lane 7, Wendouree, Ballarat, Matheson and Gilbert sitting in 2nd. ANU in 3rd. That's Shalika and Reardon. Swan Rivers, McCarthy and Povey sitting in the 4th and final qualification position, ahead of Bias and Chadinia from West Australian Rowing Club. And then the University of New South Wales, O'Donnell and Pickford sitting in 6th place. Shalika and Max Reardon. So Max, having moved up from Tasmania last year, he's the younger brother of Anika Reardon, who we saw win the Open Women's Lightweights single scull earlier on today. and also Lily Reardon, who was a handy rower herself before going on with her studies, represented the ACT, ironically enough, down at Lake Barrington, when she's originally from, they're all originally from Tasmania, and I know that the Reardon family is here at the moment. Both the parents here watching and cheering on. Ishan Shalaka.
Good day so far, yes.
It's a very good day for them. Ishan Shalaka came down from the King's School last year. He'll be representing the ACT in the lightweight fours on Sunday. I know these guys have been training that boat for absolutely being part of the same squad. I know how hard they've been training that boat, and certainly looks like it's paying off at the moment, sitting comfortably in third place and a nice qualification position for the semi-final.
Still well out in front here. This combination from Sydney Rowing Club. We've really led this from the opening strokes of the race. Bit of a Kinross Walleroy-esque performance here from a few races ago in the 18. It's a similar shade of blue, although the boat clearly is not a blue one. Even I can tell that from here. But it's a comfortable lead regardless to Sydney Rowing Club as they go through. About a length and a half clear, so Wendouree Ballarat certainly not giving up the chase here. They're sitting comfortably in the top four in any case. That's Joshua Matheson and William Gilbert from the Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club, coached by Sam Hutchison and Jamie McDonald. And then we go across to ANU, and Stuart just mentioned Ishan Shalaka and Max Reardon, coached by William Hatcher. They are third, and Swan River in fourth place on the far side of the course. Matt McCarthy and Ryan Povey, coached by Neville Kempton and Mark Beer. I may have neglected to mention the coaches of the Sydney crew that leads Donovan Seck, Shane Mulvaney and Felix Dure in charge of this combination. And we know that Sydney Rowing Club do take these club events particularly seriously, as do, of course, many clubs around the country. There is a point score, I believe, another as well with the clubs.
Third in the B final earlier on in the men's under-23 single scull, so he's already been down the course a few times, blown the cobwebs out well and truly.
Getting ready for the big race in the club men's double scull.
So Sydney Rowing Club with the lead. It is Maroulis and Wilkinson, and looking very comfortable. But Wendouree Ballarat, Matheson and Gilbert certainly not giving it up. And geez, they've shortened up the stroke, and they are absolutely getting that stroke rate right up, getting a bit of pressure on. Sydney Rowing Club have seen the danger coming off to their left-hand side, and while Wendouree Ballarat will close that gap and close it quite substantially, it will be a heat win for Sydney Rowing Club. Maroulis and Wilkinson ahead of Matheson and Gilbert from Wendouree Ballarat, certainly putting the frighteners on through that last 100 metres or so. Swan River, McCarthy and Povey have rode through ANU, and they'll go through in third place through to the semi-final. The ANU double of Shalaka and Reardon just easing off towards the end there, conserving the energy, and they'll go through in fourth. Fifth place will go to the West Australian Rowing Club, Thomas Bias and Javier Chedinya, and sixth will be University of New South Wales, Harry O'Donnell and Michael Pickford.
A lot changed late in that race. Wendouree Ballarat made up plenty of ground on Sydney, and ANU seemed content to go through in the top four. We've been waiting for this race. Stuart Neese featuring our own Ben Homer.
That's right. Lane 2 from Banks Rowing Club, Lockie Rose and James Meads, coached by Brendan Scott. Lane 3 from Commercial Rowing Club, Nicholas Langford and Isaac Cluley, coached by Stephen Potsy and Charles Green. Lane 4 from UTS Haberfield, Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly, coached by Sam Fennessy and Alexandra Wenyon. In Lane 5 from Newcastle Rowing Club, Ben Homer and Remy Keats. Lane 6 from University of New South Wales, Marcus Black and Jack Clements, coached by Cameron Butler. And Lane 7 from Sydney Rowing Club, Fletcher Smith and Maxim Maloney, and they're coached by Donovan Seck, Shane Mulvaney and Felix Due. And you can see there that footage from the drone, and it is Banks leading, UTS, then Commercial, Newcastle sitting in 4th. It's very nice to commentate on another commentator as opposed to the other way around when I'm out there.
I get the pleasure of this regularly, Stuart, but yes, it is amazing the revenge you can get when someone is out there on the water. But knowing Ben, he will watch the replay later on because he is both not just a professional broadcaster, but a very, very serious athlete too when it comes to doing well in the club men's double scull. They made the semi-finals last year, this combination from Newcastle, but they sit 4th at the moment here. So they're in a qualifying spot, but I reckon they'd like to be a place or two higher. Lockie Rose and James Meads, a very good combination from the Banks Rowing Club. James Meads had a very successful season, winning pretty much everything, state championship titles, Australian Henley, and a lot of other races. Lockie Rose, he's been rowing with in the double for at least the last couple of months that I can recall. They're coached by Brendan Scott. But really good second 500 to the Commercial combination on lane 3. Nicholas Langford and Isaac Cluley, who moved up from 5th spot to 3rd. And then UTS Haberfield still sit there in 2nd. Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly, coached by Sam Fennessy and Alexandra Wanyan.
So our 4 crews going through the 1,500 metre timing point. So first 4 through to the semi-final. Certainly Banks, Lockie Rose, James Meads looking very comfortable out in front, as are UTS's Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly. 3rd place, the Commercial crew of Nicholas Langford and Isaac Cluley, with Newcastle sitting in 4th, Ben Homer and Remy Keats. So bit of a gap then to the 5th place Sydney Rowing Club crew, 7.5 seconds. That's Fletcher Smith and Maxim Maloney, and then Marcus Black and Jack Clements from University of New South Wales going through the 1,500 metre timing point now. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 looking settled. Our qualifiers directly through to the semi-final to avoid that extra race in the repechage. And we're just seeing a bit of a push here, Richard, from UTS, Banks and Kelly, just getting a little bit closer and closer every stroke to Rose and Meads from Banks.
Yeah, going for the win, it seems, possibly. And I guess with that, a centre lane in the semi-final to come in a couple of days' time. Again, for these club events, repechages tomorrow, semi-finals Saturday, and the finals on Sunday morning. So it's becoming interesting there. Rose and Meads of Banks look to have this race. Extra energy in the closing strokes as they're on the far side ahead of one of the smaller pelotons of the day. They're making their way through the last 250 metres, rating about 26, the combination from Banks. And UTS Haberfield may well go through them. They're Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly. Commercial still their 3rd, Nicholas Langford and Isaac Cluley. And the Newcastle combination do sit comfortably also in a qualifying spot in 4th place. A bit of a gap away from our top 3, but keeping a watchful eye, no doubt, on positions 4 and 5 behind them. But straight through to the lead have gone UTS Haberfield on lane 4. Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly will, in the end, finish up about 1.25 lengths in front of Lockie Rose and James Meads from the Banks Rowing Club in 2nd place. 3rd will go to Commercial, Nicholas Langford and Isaac Cluley. Newcastle, Ben Homer and Remy Keats finishing 4th place. So all safely through to the semis on Saturday. 5th place will go in the yellow boat there, lane 7 from Sydney Rowing Club, Fletcher Smith and Maxim Maloney. 6th to the University of New South Wales, about to cross the line, Marcus Black and Jack Clements. And 6:51.35 will be the unofficial winning time, 2.96 seconds from 1st to 2nd. UTS Haberfield beating Banks in the 2nd of the heats in the club men's double scull. The 3rd heat just about underway, but I think my work's done for the day, Stuart. I'm going to leave you for the final hour of racing with Owen Nix.
Thanks there, Richard Dorstein, for the commentary over the last couple of hours. In heat number 3 of the club men's double scull, we have 6 crews and first 4 through to the semi-finals. Lane 2 from North-Est Rowing Club, Rowan Fenner and Dion Birtwistle, coached by Trevor Barrett. Lane 3 from Glebe Rowing Club, Henry and Jack Dawson. Lane 4 from UTS Haberfield, Harry Birchmore and Oscar Barigi, coached by Matthias Ungermack and Sam Fennessy. Lane 5 from Sydney University, Remy Cameron and James Scott Brown, coached by Tom Shaw and Don McLaughlin. Lane 6 from Griffith University, Surfers Paradise, Josh Weiss and Jono Locke, coached by Anthony Cook. And then lane 7 from Mercantile Rowing Club, Joshua Murphy and Jackson Morrish. As we see through the 1,000 metres, there's not a lot to pick between University by half a second. UTS less than 2 seconds back. Mercantile 0.6 of a second back in 4th, and then Griffith University, Surfers Paradise in 5th, just outside of the final qualification position, but they've still got their bow ball up close to the stroke seat of that crew from Mercantile over in lane number 7. It's really only the Glebe Rowing Club crew out of what you would potentially out of the qualification positions through that first 1,000 metres, as we welcome Owen Nix to the commentary booth for the last hour of play here on day 4 of the Australian Rowing Championships.
Yes, Glebe have a bit of work to do to get back into contention in this one. So the 5 they're vying for the 4 spots. North doing a very good job over on the far side of the course in lane number 2. Rowan Fenner, Dion Birtwistle, coached by Trevor Barrett.
Sydney University crew looking like they've had a really good third 500 metres or so, and just going through that North S crew, and then over on the far side, Mercantile and UTS just extending that gap out from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. So it's down, it's up to a boat length between 4th and 5th. So certainly Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Josh Weiss and Jono Locke will have it all to do if they are to make up that ground and go straight through to the semi-final of the club men's double scull.
Griffith Uni Service Paradise crew will know exactly where Mercantile are. Adjacent lanes, so they're right there with them. So they won't need to look across too often. They'll just have to see what the rewards for their efforts are as they continue to move their way down this 2,000 metre course. So Sydney University lead from North Esk. Mercantile in 3rd, UTS Haverfield. So they're in 4th position.
Yeah, that gap to between 4th and 5th just extending out to a couple of seconds. But certainly Griffith University Surfers Paradise looking like they may just be making a little bit of ground on the UTS crew. So Mercantile looking like they've moved across up into 3rd place. UTS now in 4th, and Griffith University Surfers Paradise looking to try and row through that UTS crew. So into the final stages now of the 3rd heat of the club men's double scull. As we say, first 4 will go through to the final, with the other 2 crews going through to the repechage. So Griffith University Surfers Paradise and Glebe Rowing Club, our 2 crews outside of those qualification positions. As things stand, they're in now to the last 250 metres. It's been a fantastic row from Remy Cameron and James Scott Brown from Sydney University. They were led early on. North Esk led through 1,000 metres. Sydney University have made up their ground and certainly looking very nice indeed. North Esk now, Rowan Fenner and Dion Birtwistle just putting on a little bit of a push over there in lane number 2. And trying to see if they can come back through for that heat win. And then we've got Mercantile, UTS and Griffith University Surfers Paradise. It's still a boat length between 4th and 5th, with it all to do through the last 50 metres or so. Sydney University, they're out in front. They've got a boat length lead and they'll go through and take the heat win. Remy Cameron and James Scott Brown. Mercantile with a great finish in 2nd place. Then back to North Esk in 3rd. 4th place to the UTS crew. 5th going to Griffith University Surfers Paradise. And then 6th will go to Glebe Rowing Club, Henry Dawson and Jack Dawson. The winning time there for heat number 3 of the club men's double scull, and it does look like we're just having some timing issues at the moment, so no heat time as things stand, but certainly a win for Sydney University. 2nd place to Mercantile, 3rd to North Esk, 4th to UTS. They'll go through to the semi-final, with 5th to Griffith University Surfers Paradise and 6th to the crew from Glebe Rowing Club, as we see them coming across the line now. Moving on to the first heat for the schoolgirls Coxed Quad Sculls, first through to the semi-final, the rest through to the repechage. Lane 1, Roseville College. Lane 2, Rockhampton Grammar. Lane 3, the Armidale School. Lane 4, Brisbane State High. Lane 5, Trinity Lutheran College. Lane 6, Lords Hill College from Queensland. And Lane 7, Kinross Walleroy School. And you would imagine, Owen, and you can see there on the screen, Kinross Walleroy in the lead. How many times do we say that during a season?
Yes, they've got a very successful rowing program. Ben Watt heading up the program there, a former student at the school. It's the crew of Sienna Wilkin, Elfie Sweetapple, Olivia Searle, Tessa Wong and Philippa Martin is lying down in the bow of that boat as the coxswain. From Queensland.
event at the New South Wales Championships from memory, and certainly looking very good through the first 1,000. Lords Hill sitting in second, that's Matilda Domers, Elodie Lee, Lily Nolan, Sienna Becker, Sienna Slennett Roberts. With the coxswain, and Ben Bright is the coach there. You see there the footage of the Kinross Walleroy crew being chased by the Lords Hill crew in lane number 6, and then a couple across from them we've got the Brisbane State High crew of Olivia Grant, Maggie Stafford, Indiana Jenkinson, Rose Ricks, Madeline Howard, coached by Tom Riles, David Vandis and Tom Herborn. Sitting in fourth place, Trinity Lutheran College, and that was Alina Doherty, Emily Dobbin, Sophie Clifford, Charlie Newman, Chloe Fielding, and coached by Eric Rowan and Victoria Earl. So Trinity Lutheran College looking like they're just making a bit of ground up on that Brisbane State High crew. Not a lot to pick between them. It's only the first through to the semi-finals, so Kinross are certainly looking very comfortable out in front. Nice little battle going on there between lanes 1 and 2. So we've got Roseville College, Angelina Bogassian, Sophie Hurl, Phoebe Herdman, Matilda Bard, Beth Lawrence, and coached by Katie Ashworth and Alex Brown. And then Rockhampton Grammar in lane 2, Greta McCosker, Carolyn Sparks, Maeve Burnett, Asher Stewart, Even Peff is the coxswain and coached by Rob Fay and Kimberly Brown. Our final crew coming down is from the Armidale School, Poppy Hall, Claire Watt, Ruby Highland, Harriet Crawford, Heidi Cannington, and coached by Martin Inglis. So very much a Queensland, New South Wales heat this one in the schoolgirl, first heat of the schoolgirls, Coxed Quad Sculls. Kinross with the lead and looking very good through 1500. You can see there 5:23.03 and then an 8-second lead through 1500 metres over Lords Hill from Queensland.
It's a very strong performance coming from Kinross Walleroy School. Lords Hill in second spot. And it's back to Trinity Lutheran, who are in a great battle with Brisbane State High School. And we go across to another very, very good battle between Rockhampton Grammar School and Roseville College over on the far side. It was Rockhampton Grammar School that just pushed ahead through that 1500 metre mark. The Armidale School are back in 7th position. So coming up towards the 1750 metre mark.